All right, Eric. So you were running Stack Blitz for, I believe, 7 years before you created Bolt. Like, what pushed you to basically build Bolt? What happened?
Yeah, well, it was kind of the lack of what happened over 7 years, which is we weren't able to build a venture scale business in that time. Our original vision for StackBlitz was to bring web development to the web in the same way that Canva and Figma brought design to the web, and we built some really amazing technologies to go and do that. But before AI, the only people that could go and build web applications were developers. And the problem is that developers just didn't want to do that stuff in a browser. When you look at something like Canva, the big unlock was that it allowed non-designers to design, right, for the first time. And so after 7 years, we were basically about to go out of business. And we had one final idea for a pivot, and that was Bolt. And the idea was, what if we could basically remove the IDE from having to make web applications? What if you could just type in a prompt and we would use AI to actually generate it and run it in your browser using the same technology we'd built for 7 years? And so out of necessity and out of us just wanting to realize the vision of why we started this thing in the first place is why we built Bolt.
Wow. Okay. So how bad was it? I mean, I guess how much month of runway did you have because I bet a lot of founders are listening to us. Like, that reminds me, actually, some of the stories I went through. Was it like 3-6 months before we're running out of money?
Ours was healthy. So I would recommend any founder that's listening to this, before you found product market fit, the game, your investors and everyone else is going to scream at you to spend the money faster. Don't do that. You want to buy as much time as you can because you have no idea how much time it is going to take. And we had been around for 7 years. We'd raised a seed and a Series A, and that's a pretty long ramp for both just those two rounds to be around. And when we launched Bolt, I think we still had a year and a half of runway still in the bank.
Okay.
So we weren't at risk of running out of money, but the big question for us as a company, though, for the shareholders in the company, is what are we doing here, right? If we don't see a path to being a venture scale business, then we need to start spinning things down. And a year before we launched Bolt, we'd had a board meeting where we came to the conclusion, all right, in 2024 we're going to spend the year figuring out, turning over every stone of can we build a giant business here? And if the answer is no, then at the end of 2024, we're gonna start spinning down the company or trying to get acquired or something like that. And when we launched Bolt, it was 1 month before the board meeting where we were gonna officially start spinning things down, basically.
Wow, pressure creates, obviously. So let's talk a bit about that launch and I guess that path to that launch, right? Most founders, me included, would be thrilled with a couple thousand users, signing up on day one. You had 60K, right? 60K users on day one. What's your secret? During those 11 months, 10 months where you built Bolt, what would be some advice you would give the audience?
We built Bolt in 90 days, actually. So it was a very short period of time, from the first lines of code to launch. What was very helpful was that for the past 7 years of the company, we had been building and launching really cool things, building a community of people that were following us. And this is something that when you're starting a company, it's important to be building out your own distribution basically over time, building people that are following you, people that are aware of you, so that when you launch something that is really unique, that's just an absolute grand slam, you have enough kindling for that fire to go viral.
So basically, you build that community over time, iterated, A/B tested, until the moment you were all right, let's build Bolt, 3 months. And that's what basically, listening to you, paved the way to those 60,000 users rushing to try the product. Is that a good summary?
For sure. And then the second part of that is that we did a really good job. We launched it with just a tweet, and we actually, and it's kind of funny. We didn't have a blog post, we didn't have a press release. We just had a tweet, and the tweet though was really, really good. We spend a lot of time when we go to actually build products at the company, or when we launch anything. we start by, before we write any code or any designs, we write the tweet thread that announces it.
Amazon style press release before.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, and we took it from the Amazon PRFAQ style, but in a tweet thread is so much. It's even better because you have 280 characters, right? And so it forces you to remove everything that's unnecessary. And so for Bolt, that we did the exact same thing, and we spent probably 100 hours right on just the first tweet of the thing. But when we put that online, it went viral, and then into our existing community, and the viral loop of the product though is the tweet effectively was like, go to Bolt.new, type in something you want to build, and you're going to get something, it'll build a full web app for you. And we were the first product that really would allow you to do that. And what people did is exactly that. And they would go to Bolt.new, that's just a prompt box, they type something in, hit enter, they get something back, be like, wow, this is crazy. They'd share it, be like, look what I made. And people would be like, where'd you make that? And they're like, on Bolt. And then they would go try it.
I love the idea of compressing the heck out of, the press release idea to really the essence of what it is. And I'm sure it's been a great driver for you and the team. So you were about to touch on it, but I feel like in the AI space, there are a lot of tourists, right? By tourists, I mean users trying the, hot, shiny new things and then, moving away. So you had the 60,000 users on day one. How did you convert those tourists, right, into regular, residents, let's say? What's your core growth loop hack? Something you could share around this?
I think the main thing that we focus on as a business is, for being an AI native text to app product is really, it's not just about it building the app, it's also about hosting it and allowing you to collaborate with your team on it, right? Because I think there's a lot of tourism across things where it'll spin up an app, but it's not very sticky because, and often if there is built-in hosting, it doesn't really work that well. So you have to eject anyways. So what we spent a lot of time doing, especially over the past year, is going and taking the best cloud infrastructure, putting that directly in Bolt, and so we've partnered with Netlify and Supabase. That stuff's just built in, and so people, when you build a project on Bolt, you tend to stay there because your actual business basically is living on Bolt in a sense.
Yeah, you fit basically in the business persona's workflow, right?
Exactly.
Talking about those personas, I think your main personas are typically product managers, but did you also have engineers? You have designers. How do you optimize as you design your roadmap? For all of those personas, which one pulls the roadmap the most?
We focus a lot on PMs and product teams because that represents, specifically that are at scale ups or Fortune 500s. And the reason for that is that these are people that are paid to build professional products that serve hundreds of millions or billions of people. And so if we're able to really do a great job of being the tool they use to go and vibe code new products at their companies that are going to scale to billions of people, our product therefore can also really serve entrepreneurs well. Because they have the same thing. They want to do the exact same thing. They want to build products that scale to millions, billions of people, right? Same thing with engineers that are working on this stuff. So it's kind of when you focus on those folks, they're the ones that are PMs are responsible for ultimately the cohesive experience and integration of design and engineering and shipping that to customers in a great way. And so if you can really make this work well for them, all the other parties tend to find what we have found is that's the rising tide that floats all the other boats if you can actually lift it.
So focus on that right persona and that trickles down the org, meet obviously users where we are. So, okay, all of that helped you obviously keep that user base growing and growing up to 7 million, right? So from 60,000 to 7 million in what, a year, roughly? Am I correct?
Yep.
Really impressive, right? And so I bet a couple things broke. I'd like now to deep dive a little bit on the operational side of things. Maybe internally, let's start there. Your initial team, how did you staff it, change the way, I guess, you organized it, especially compared to a SaaS business typically, to absorb all that load?
It was nuts. When we launched Bolt, we were 15 people. Most of the team was engineering. I think it was my chief of staff and I were I guess, kind of the non-engineers. No one had customer support in their title. And in the first couple of weeks, we went from 0 paying customers to it must have been 20, 30,000 paying customers, right? And just like the first month or whatever, we have no support team. And so the number one thing that was breaking, from a company internal structure standpoint, is we were completely overloaded with inbound support. Like we were getting 1,000 emails per day, and so my chief of staff and I, we were spending 4 or 5 hours a day each just going and doing email support, because we're like, you can't hire fast enough, right, to ramp people to
of course.
what we were seeing. And what was kind of wild about that is, we just so happened to have this at that time very small YC company that reached out, that was starting up to do AI based support. And so we got on the phone with those guys and gave them a shot, and it was incredible. Like we integrated them into our email support lines, and they take out 90% of our tickets automatically now. When customers rate the support experience, like their Sam, the agent that is their thing, is rated better than our humans are.
A very successful AI company using another AI company to scale. I mean,
totally. I mean, it was a huge question for us though, because it was like, how do we scale to meet this demand this quickly? And because support is something we would have had to hire 50 to 100 people just for support for the level of demand we were seeing and are seeing. But we've been able to keep a really small team there, where I think we're maybe 10 people at this point. And with the AI augmentation, we've been able to scale to hundreds of thousands of customers, which is crazy.
That's amazing. Any other thing that broke, I guess, or maybe like if we focus on the user side, like you talk customer support, and that's very interesting aspect. Did you have to cap particular like product features? Did you have to make deliberate like choices to I guess keep as many of them happy and keep using it? Like, is there something there you'd like to share?
When we launched Bolt, we didn't think that we had no idea that it was going to blow up in the way that it did, and so we didn't think deeply about the pricing strategy. And hey, when we launched, it was $9 a month, which $9 of inference gets you not much. And so when people were signing up, they would rip through their $9 in an hour or something, like within a day. And they'd be like, I want to buy more. And we had no option to buy more. But there's clear demand. People were banging on our door about this. And so our team just worked, for 72 or 96 hours straight over a weekend to ship upgrades and usage-based billing. And which was at that time very novel. No other AI tool was doing, hey, if you want to use more, you just pay for the usage. And that now everyone is doing that. But we were like the first company that figured that out based on the customer feedback we were getting. But to me, it was just that was how do we scale to kind of meet the demand, right? And like, but it's a classic startup tale of you listen to your customers and you move quickly on the insights, right? And then that right there, that insight we had, that is now the default of how all AI native startups are pricing, which is usage based. But that was not the case 1 year ago. We were the first to do it.
That's super interesting and a great segue, I guess, to pricing and unit of economics. You mentioned UBB, usage based billing, which obviously is something like we work quite a lot on at Stripe. Like I think it's also a fundamental difference in the way companies like Bolt price very differently than, SaaS businesses where we had those boilerplate ways of doing it. Like, how did you approach pricing outside of the fact of like pricing it on usage, but like drawing a line between what's free, for example, to give enough excitement to the user to continue, and where you hit the paywall?
We're still playing around with this, and I think the main thing that you want, what we have found works really well, and this still even applies to when we launched Bolt a year ago, the first version. The free tier's job is to get you to the aha moment, and that is oftentimes that's the first prompts that you put in. You put in something and you get something back and you go, whoa, this like did it really well. At that moment, maybe you give them another prompt or two or whatever have you, but that's a good time to be like, hey, you need to upgrade to do more things. In large part because it's very expensive to run the inference for free users, and it can be easily abused, et cetera, right? The recommendation I would give to other founders is you certainly want to look at what's the cost of like, how many prompts does it take to get to to the aha moment for end customer. How much is that costing you, et cetera. And looking at that going, okay, being actually more aggressive about what's the cutoff for when you have to put in your credit card, where they should have been able to see the value and give the thing a whirl. Because I feel like a lot of people are willing to put in $20 on a tool just to see if it works or not for them.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, oh well, it's $20, right? But people are trying lots of things, which is awesome as a startup. It's like, this is holy heck. Like someone was talking to me the other day about this, where they called it the penny problem or the penny gap or something like that, where it's like getting someone to pay literally anything in a product, the drop off is massive, right? And before AI type startups, it was really, really hard to get people to put in any amount of money.
I think that's one of those like fundamental differences with AI. I heard a story. I'd love to know if that's true, Eric. I heard that to figure out what worth, a customer paying a price, and paying for, you obviously dog fooding your own product and your employees do as well, but you actually pay for your own product. Is that true?
That is true. Yes, that is 100% true. I personally pay, I think right now I'm on the $300 a month plan with Bolt on my own personal credit
I love
card.
it.
And the reason being is that it's different when you're paying with your own money versus like the company credit card or like free credits or whatever, because you don't psychologically have the same attachment of like the value of what you're paying for, especially for AI stuff. And it also forces you to go through your own checkout flows with a real credit card that is not the 42, 42, 42, 42, just to like test it or whatever. So you catch stuff that you might not have otherwise, right? And even deeper in the life cycle too, it's like, hey, I'm trying to upgrade and this is what my account is at. Like this looked kind of weird when it popped. It's like you catch things that you might not have otherwise. Anyways, and so I think for us, like we just put out a big V2 release. And when we put that release out and I'm using it on my own credit card, I was like, that's when I upgraded from our $200 to $300 a month plan. Cause I'm like, this is worth every penny. Like I'm happy. I would probably pay $1,000 a month if I had more time to just be prompted. I would be building stuff all day long because this is ridiculous.
I love it, Eric. I think it's taking, I don't know if you remember the Zappos story, like everyone was a customer agent. Like you took that to the next level with like actually, on pricing side, I mean, like paying yourself or having your employees pay yourself. I agree so much. It's very helpful to figure out where you put that line.
Totally.
Last question, I guess, on pricing. Your LLM's builds, they must be eye-watering, right? Like I wonder how you reconcile the price and that you actually pay for those models with the price that you make your users pay, and how you basically, what's the path to healthy margin?
It's all about what's the value you're providing beyond just reselling inference, right? Because there's arguments people are making around, oh, the models are going to get cheaper and that's where you're going to get margin. The problem with that is that assumes that models are going to cap out, like new model families are not going to get better. And we just haven't seen that in any meaningful way. Or you're going to say, we're going to give you worse models and charge you the price of a frontier model. So then you're going to have competitors that aren't doing that. They're going to smoke you because it's a better experience, right? Having the best models.
Or you're going to feel like I'm not having what I want for my money.
So the people that are using your product are going to have an inferior experience than a competitor. You're going to churn them out. So it's like the way that we view it is we always want to have the best stuff, right? That is going to be expensive. That's going to be the most expensive inference that we can buy and that we're passing through to customers. But our job is not just to pass through inference. It's about, once the AI builds your thing, then what? And that for us, that's hosting. That's your team collaboration workflows, right? And so having, our customers in the product, using those other facets is really where our margins come from. As far as I'm aware, we've actually got some of the best margins of any of the AI cogen companies. We've been at like 50, 60% margins, which is a lot of these other guys are running at 20 to 30. But that's a testament to kind of what I'm talking about here. Around 6 months ago, we kind of saw the writing on the wall of like, we have to go and deeply invest in the value beyond just inference pass through, right? And it's very much paying off for us.
What an incredible journey, right? From like a year ago, even a year before Stack Blitz, this now healthy margin. Let's talk a bit about the future, I must ask this question: like, where is Bolt in 3 years? Let's say 3 years. Can you share one big swing with us?
I think the fundamental change that we want to we want to help really usher into the world here is, if you look at how companies are structured today and how they build products, coming back to PMs, their job again is to craft the product experience, and their way today of doing that is basically writing Jira tickets and assigning it to someone and kind of hoping that they actually implement the thing quickly and in the right way. And if they don't,
Been there.
and which is kind of crazy, right? It's like this. It's like they're on the hook for delivering this thing, but they actually don't have the direct control over how it is done and the speed in which it can get done. That doesn't make any sense when you think that same Jira ticket, you should be able to put it into Bolt. And some companies are already doing this, where they're going and instead of putting it into Jira, they're going and putting it into Bolt, right? And hitting enter and having it go and take a crack at it and iterate with it and then create a pull request as a PM, right? And that's not to say that engineers are going away, but it's more that there's a lot of tasks that, like the higher cognitive load tasks, should be done by engineers, right? When they're being augmented by AI as well. And certainly PMs that are going to be using, Bolt or things like Bolt to go and actually make contributions to the products directly via code. The engineers are going to be reviewing that code, et cetera, before it gets merged in. The entire structure of how companies build products is going to be flipped upside down, where you're going to have people that are like PMs and product teams that are able to directly craft the products themselves in a very meaningful way, especially as the front end of the product and that sort of thing. That to us is the North Star, and there's a lot of different things to work out between here and there. But that change alone will be profound, right? In the iteration speed of companies and the quality of products that we're going to be able to see in the world, and the quality of products entrepreneurs can build. So that to me is what's exciting over the next couple of years here.
I can totally see that and see how you could apply those core principles you shared with us, like focusing on that persona, like deep integration and really like meeting users, all kind of users where they are, rather than just being that shiny tool on the side. No, it's a full. If we push that a little bit. You've seen those memes on Instagram, whatever, like, hey, ChatGPT, like, give me a business idea that makes me really rich, blah, blah, blah. How far do you think we are from you typing, like, build me a business, right? And then AI actually doing all that for you? I'm thinking like 5, 6, 7 years from now.
I think that it could be sooner. I think it could be sooner. And I think the main question is really going to be, how much money are you willing to spend on the inference? Because it's for something like that, I think that might even be possible now if you're willing to give $100,000 to an AI agent to just go crunch away or something. Like I wouldn't be surprised if you could potentially do something like that now. I think over the next 1 to 2 years, the price will probably come down a bit more, and the quality of the models will be maybe more tuned in that direction. But I actually don't think we're that far away from it. It sounds bizarre. I mean, it's hard to like believe that you could go and prompt something like that and actually get anything remotely close to working back. But given what we're seeing in the long horizon tasks of coding agents right now and how fast that is improving and the length of time they can be running autonomously, I don't think it's actually that far away.
And it feels like it boils down to what you were saying, like integration, deep integration on like go-to-market and marketing, or like the supply and all that. Maybe Bolt. Maybe when we speak again, like 4 or 5 years from now, it's not even PM, like the CEO, there's just one CEO using Bolt. Maybe last question for the audience, for those founders listening to us, what do you think is the most overlooked opportunity in AI right now?
Yeah, I think the entire SDLC life cycle is an area where there's a lot of things that are needed, right? Because coming back to, if PMs are going to be shipping code every day, there's not, how do you review that, the volume of stuff, right? That's going to be happening. And also not just review it from like an engineer point of view. How do you ensure the security of these things then? Because we're entering a world where the nitty gritty of the software is largely being written by AI. Companies are already not great at ensuring that everything they put out is very secure by default. So to me, like one obvious thing is like penetration testing. That's something that you can make AI agents that would do that 24 hours a day. For the most security conscious companies, they would certainly pay for that, right? So I think there's a lot of things in that realm that to me are, it's nascent. It's a completely greenfield opportunities, in part because this groundswell that's happening with CodeGen and the adoption of it is just, we're in the first innings of this. And that the infrastructure I'm talking about for like penetration testing as a service, as an agent, security, that stuff's going to be needed in a dire way, over the next, couple of years. So that to me is if I was starting fresh right now, I would really go and dig in there and prepare to ride the wave that is, to me, inevitable, that it is coming and this is needed.
And integrate with Bolt.
Or we'll buy you, if you're open to it.
I love it. I want to see that curve like keeps growing. Eric, this has been an incredible look into the future. I think the perfect way to wrap this up is to bring that future into the present. For all the founders watching who want to seize one of those opportunities we talked about, there's no better way to understand this than to see it in action. Can you actually show us what Bolt can do right now?
Sure. Thanks, Arno. Really excited to walk you all through Bolt. So, if you ever had an idea for a startup or a website or just an app that you wanted to build, Bolt is the best way to get rolling with that. And it's the simplest thing in the world. You just head over to Bolt.new and you'll land on our homepage. And it's really simple. There's just a prompt box that asks, what do you want to build today? And we're going to go ahead and let's type in an idea that we can go and build out together. Now, one thing that's really cool about Bolt, and this is one of the ways we're very unique compared to some of the other web-based tools, is that you can actually choose what agent you want to use to build your app. So we can choose from Claude Code or OpenAI Codex and many others coming soon. We're going to go ahead and use Claude Code. It's one of the best ones in the world. And go ahead and hit send and build out this application. So it's immediately getting to work. It's going to figure out exactly how to build out this app for us. And this is what's really cool about how we built Bolt is that, it's not just like a CLI you use that you have to like be technical and set up a dev environment or set up cloud infrastructure. Bolt has all of that built in out of the box, and Bolt's agent and the different agents you can choose from know how to actually use that to build incredible production grade applications for you. So what this thing's actually doing here is it's going and creating database migrations, spinning up cloud infrastructure for us, actually going and writing the code, and has deep planning built in. And this reduces errors by up to 98% compared to all the other guys in the market. So if you've ever tried vibe coding tools, hit into lots of errors, what you're seeing here is actually the key unlock that allows you to build with confidence and build really quickly. So once it's done working on your application, you'll go ahead and see it in the preview here. Again, you don't have to set up anything yourself. And if I want to add on some more functionality to this, is a beautiful design, what I can go ahead and do is just prompt it to go and use different things that you need an API key to go and use. And Bolt's really smart and go search the web for how to actually integrate maps or AI applications and things of that nature. Build it directly in without you even having to do anything. And this is all powered by our backend that comes built in with every single Bolt project, powered by Supabase. You have full database tables, server functions, and more. Something I want to show you that's pretty cool is when you're working on your project, again, this is designed for folks that are builders, not necessarily engineers, but folks that are great at building products like founders, entrepreneurs, PMs. If you want to change something specifically in the visual interface, you can actually go and use this selector and just click on what you want to change, and you can tell Bolt what you actually want to do with it. It'll go ahead and get to work and actually fix it up for you. So you can make everything on your application pixel perfect and work exactly how you envisioned it. And once you're like, hey, this thing looks great and it's ready to go, I'm ready to share this with the world and put it online, maybe start making some money as a business, we have built-in hosting. So you can go ahead and just click that publish button up at the top right, and it's now live. Even cooler is that you can also buy or add a domain you already own to point at your website, just directly built in. So we want to buy a new domain, just as simple as searching for the domain name and then clicking purchase. And with your new website online, you can use our analytics feature built in that will automatically show you all the people that are using your apps. You can actually get insights into how people are using your products, and you can iterate and inside of Bolt and publish them and go and build giant, great businesses. So from idea to production to analyzing how users are actually using the product, and so you can iterate and rinse and repeat. That's what Bolt is all about.